Hello there! Based on the fact that you clicked this video, it seems like you're interested in Xenoblade. Though the title of the video may suggest that it's only for people unfamiliar with the games but want to get into them, longtime fans will also want to watch this video. Mainly to be able to confidently send it to a friend, but I also have different types of recommendations for different people. The way I'll go through my suggestions here is to give my opinion on what to do if you've never played a Xenoblade game, as well as if you've only played a couple, or even if you've played all of them. Just to clarify, there will be no spoilers in this video. I'll mostly be showing Xenoblade 3 trailer footage and very early game stuff for the other games I speak about. Before we dive into the recommendations, I just want to ask that if you guys enjoy the content on the channel, please drop a sub and a like. Typically on my videos, it seems like a majority of you watching haven't been subscribed, so I'd appreciate it so much if you could. It lets me know that you like the content I'm making and allows me to make more stuff for you guys in the future. Also, it's completely free and you can unsubscribe at any time. With that, let's get to the recommendations. Now, if you saw the trailers for Xenoblade 3 and are interested in the series for the very first time, that is awesome. Welcome. I'm sure that Monolith has developed this game with new players in mind, despite the fact that it's called Xenoblade 3. I am 100% confident that if you haven't played a Xenoblade game before, you'll do just fine. I do think, however, that there will be moments in the story where your experience could be elevated due to possible callbacks to previous entries. This is mainly due to the fact that characters, settings, and elements from Xenoblade 1 and 2 are explicitly being included in 3. Wouldn't you know it, I would say that playing Xenoblade 1 and 2 would be the way to go. These are massive games though, so I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't want to sink in the time to beat both games. Each one of these games could take you about 80 hours. You could just pick one of them to play, and I would recommend playing Xenoblade 1 at the very least. Definitive Edition has made the game extremely accessible and polished. The setting of the game is on the corpses of two enormous titans, the Bionis and Mechonis, who died after fighting a legendary battle against one another. Thousands of years later, it follows the now iconic Shulk as he journeys through the lands of Bionis to stop the Mechon, mindless machines that originate from the Mechonis, from completely wiping out his people. With his special sword, the Monado, he is able to see visions of the future. With them, he can bend destiny to his will by acting accordingly both in and out of battle. Combat in this game is fairly easy to understand and sort of plays like a single-player MMO, but is a little bit more interactive in my opinion. If a party member is going to be mortally wounded, Shulk can see a vision of the future, and you can do with that information what you want to help prevent that future from happening. The world of Xenoblade 1 is huge and beautiful and filled to the brim with so many different characters, side quests, and enemies to fight. Xenoblade 1 is my favorite video game ever, and Definitive Edition has made the experience, well, the definitive one now. It also includes the future-connected epilogue game that sort of prepares us for Xenoblade 3 and wraps up a couple plot threads from Xenoblade 1. If you find that you want to play Xenoblade 2 first, though, more power to you. That is also possible, and like every other Xenoblade game, requires no prior knowledge to enjoy it. In this game, the Titans are actually alive and slowly swim around the World Tree, located in the Cloud Sea. People live on the backs of these Titans, but unfortunately, they are starting to die out, which makes land extremely scarce now. Our main character is a young boy, Rex, who meets this extremely powerful girl named Pyra, who grants him incredible power, but requests that he assist her in getting to the top of the World Tree, where a literal paradise called Elysium exists. It won't be easy though, because many much more powerful and experienced fighters stand in Rex and Pyra's way that will stop at nothing to prevent them from getting there. The battle system is a little bit different from Xenoblade 1, but retains a lot of similar features. The biggest change in particular is the blade and driver system. You can gather these items called core crystals, and when you open them, you're randomly given a new blade to use, and you can equip that blade to a character to give them all sorts of unique and different skills. There are common blades, but there are also rare blades, which are very, very special and have extremely powerful abilities. If you're enjoying your Xenoblade 2 playthrough, or you finished it before, I would recommend getting the Xenoblade 2 Season Pass. This includes several brand new blades, new quests, items, a challenge mode that allows you to take the game's combat to its absolute limit, and a second entire game to play. That's right, for just $30 you can get all of those extras and a second game. A prequel to be exact. Torn of the Golden Country, which takes place 500 years before the base game, gives you extra context on Mithra's past, as well as some other characters who you may recognize from the main story. It's also possible to play this game entirely without Xenoblade 2. You can do that, although I would still say to play Xenoblade 2 after. If you enjoyed your time with Xenoblade 2 thoroughly and you haven't played Xenoblade 1, go ahead. There's another fantastic experience waiting out there for you. Now, I haven't really mentioned Xenoblade X because it's sort of its own thing. It places much less emphasis on story and much more on gameplay and exploration, with an absolutely enormous world that has no loading screens between areas. If that's what you like, then this is for you. It also doesn't seem to have any plot connection to Xenoblade 3, but based on some theories the community has, that could be wrong. In Xenoblade X, Earth has been completely destroyed by two warring alien races. A number of ships carrying humanity's final few were able to escape, but later crash land on a habitable planet called Mira. Everything isn't sunshine and rainbows though, because the Ganglion, one of those races that destroyed Earth, have tracked down the humans and are trying to pick them off one by one for some unknown reason. Your main character is actually an avatar this time around, an almost fully customizable blank slate in terms of appearance and battle attributes that you'll be using for your playthrough. This woman named Elma is your close companion and who you could consider the secondary protagonist. You could also exclusively play as her and just make her the main character. The combat and gameplay in X leans a lot more towards Xenoblade 1 rather than Xenoblade 2, with the battle system sort of being just an improvement of Xenoblade 1's. The game is currently only on the Wii U, and that could make it a little bit harder to find and play, but it is a fun game. Well, I've covered all of the Xenoblade games, and if you've played them all, you're probably thinking, okay, well, what do I do now? And boy, do I have an answer for you. You may have heard of Xenogears and Xenosaga before. If not, let me give you a rundown. Xenogears was technically Monolith Soft's first game. I say technically because the company didn't exist yet at the time, and many of its future employees were working on this game at Square. Xenogears' plot revolves around Faye, an amnesiac who came to live in Lahan Village after a mysterious masked man dropped him off there 3 years prior. After Lahan becomes the battleground for two warring nations, Faye and his mentor Saitan set out in search for answers. Along the way, with their new comrades, they begin to unravel the secrets of their world that have been kept hidden for thousands of years. This is a classic PS1 title, and its age does show a little bit. The battle system is a little sluggish, but despite all of the issues I have with Xenogears, the story is absolutely phenomenal and 100% worth it. After Xenogears released, a number of employees left to form Monolith since they were told, no, you are not allowed to make Xenogears 2 because we're making this Final Fantasy movie instead. And they began putting out games in the Xenosaga series. Quick side tangent about this movie, it's actually one of the biggest box office bombs of all time. It kind of bothers me that something that would go on to do about as well as Mars Needs Moms was what was getting in the way of Xenogears 2 being made. Anyway, back to the video. These games take certain ideas and gameplay elements from Gears and tell a new story. Humans have long since left Earth and actually forgot where it is, so they're populating the rest of the universe. Shion Uzuki is the chief engineer of the KOS-MOS project. The goal is to finish building KOS-MOS, who's designed to stop the Gnosis. Gnosis are basically like the Fog King from Future Connected. They can't be hit because they exist in a completely separate reality from the main characters. The Gnosis, the government, terrorist groups, the church, and many more are at odds with each other, and Shion and KOS-MOS get caught in the crossfire. I don't want to say too much else, but know that this thing is in the game. Xenosaga's gameplay is also turn-based like Xenogears, but each game will update and change the combat system a little bit. The combat system's strengths, though, typically lie in your ability to pump up your characters and deal crazy amounts of damage in a short period of time. There's also a turn manipulation mechanic that gives you and your opponent different benefits based on what turn it is. Many of the elements you enjoy about Xenoblade originated with Gears and Saga. The complex stories, the wide cast of characters, and many of the themes all started here. After watching the 6 minutes worth of available Xenoblade 3 footage over 100 times, I can say that there might be more callbacks, references, and Easter eggs to Xenogears and Xenosaga than any other game in the Xenoblade series. I played all 4 of these games for the first time within the last 2 years, and I do not regret it. The characters in these games are so good, on the same level as the Xenoblade games. Just know that Xenosaga does have some external media you need to look into between playing the second and third games. If you need any help with understanding or figuring out where to start with these games, feel free to ask me over on my server on Discord, which I linked in the description. We've got an awesome and dedicated community over there, and we'd love to have you. I also have a video that goes over a little bit more detail on the games, their price points, and what you can play them on up here in the top right. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. I really love all of these games, and I'm pretty much willing to do anything to get people to play them. The Xeno games are unlike anything you could possibly imagine, and I hope you give some thought to trying them out. If you've played them all already, please send this video to someone who's thinking about it. This might be the thing to push them over the edge. I'm hoping that this could be a helpful resource for many years to come, at least until Xenoblade 4 comes out. If you liked the video, be sure to let me know, and if you follow my recommendations at all, please come back and leave a comment here. Tell us what you think. Thanks to all of my channel members for their continued support, and a special thanks to Play, who's a legendary Blade member. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!